Hey guys, this is Sharad with REsimpli. I'm excited to have Atmore King on today's call. He's doing some really amazing things in multiple markets. So I wanted to bring him on this podcast and ask him some questions based on his experience. I think there's a lot to be learned from his experience. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, Sharad. What's going on, guys?
Yeah, thank you for being on the call, man. Really excited to have you share your experience. Like you really scaled your business in a very short period of time. So I'm excited. Hey, just get us started. Share, a little bit about yourself, your name, where you live, what kind of investing you're doing, which markets, and how long you've been investing for.
Awesome. So my name is Atmore King. I'm a broker slash investor. I live in here in the Buckhead area of Atlanta. This is where I started doing wholesaling in 2019 and in the Atlanta market here. Then I started to go virtual around the time that COVID broke in 5 or 6 more markets, mostly in the Midwest. Then we just started hopping into random places, and now we've sold deals in I think 22 cities since then. Just became a broker last year. I'm gonna, not talk a bunch about that, but I own a brokerage and got some residential agents taking over the multifamily sector here in Atlanta for commercial deals and stuff like that. So I'm just happy to be where I'm at and able to have all the opportunities I have, and even share these experiences and stories with investors and founders and creators like yourself. There's a lot of confusion or extra noise out there in the space about what's real and what's not, what's the best way to go about things. There's a lot of paid programs that you can buy and stuff like that. And it's good to just know, hey, if I want to go out there and get a deal, like what do I really have to do to guarantee that, So that's one thing I've always been big on, because I remember getting my first deal like it was yesterday. So
Right. You're doing quite a number of deals in very short period of time. And is your primary exit wholesaling?
yeah, primarily that's my exit. I've been taking ownership on certain properties that pique my interest. Either I might get multiple parcels from a seller and I'll keep one of the parcels for myself and wholesale the others and get the property for free. Or maybe it's a building that I know somebody wants to partner with me to do a very niche type of business there that we might actually run. So I haven't gotten to multifamily buying, and holding units myself yet, but that is like the main portion of where I want to do my investing, I'd say, when I keep properties. But yeah, up to this point, we've wholesaled most of our deals. I think we're at 92 deals since we started. Lots of deals have fallen through too. So I've learned a lot on the way, and just excited to be going into this next era of real estate.
Yeah, and you've been doing this for about 3 years, actually 3 years coming soon.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're in multiple market. What's your primary market, or it's pretty, evenly spread between a few different markets?
It's definitely evenly spread between a few different markets. I'd say Atlanta is my primary market because I am a licensed broker here, and I can sometimes let one hand watch the other with small deals or really big deals, and my network here is great. But I've also had great success in Nashville, in Birmingham, in Toledo, Ohio, Detroit, Michigan, upstate New York, Syracuse. It's very random where we have popped up, and I'll get into the reason why I got into these certain markets. But I would say the Southeast is really our bread and butter.
Right.
Trying to do a lot more volume in like Texas and Florida, because Georgia, North Carolina, and Alabama and Tennessee have been like very great to us.
Got it. It's awesome, man. All right, I'm going to ask you some questions about your, real estate
Sure.
investing experience. So, first of all, why did you choose to be a real estate investor? Why not something else?
This is a great question. So I became an agent in 2017 before I even started wholesaling, and I wasn't making money. I had other jobs that I had to work because I really didn't understand how to take massive action and how to do a lot of outreach and all that stuff. So I always wanted to be involved in real estate. I just didn't know what it was going to look like. I ended up getting a random job doing acquisitions for a wholesale company that was located here in Atlanta and virtually doing the Columbus, Ohio market. I went to Ohio State University for a couple years and know Columbus very well. So I hit it off doing acquisitions for these two guys that own the company. I was so amazed once I understood what real estate investment really was versus just being an agent, or a lot of what being an agent is about doesn't encompass the rest of the rules that are included in real estate or the processes that us investors go through. So it was awesome to see that side. The company, they had, some complications, and I didn't really want to go get another job. So I was like, hey, I know how to get these deals. Let me just go out and get my first deal. So it took me, I think, 30 something days to get my first deal. I had no leads, I had no understanding of dispositions or marketing, really just acquisitions, because that's what I was doing. So just kind of stumbled, watched some YouTube videos, and got my first one to stick, and never looked back, really.
Amazing, man. All right. So based on your experience, you've done close to 100 deals. Which one marketing channel would you use, kind of knowing what you know now based on experience? If you were to pick one marketing channel, which one would you pick?
I would definitely pick just cold calling. Got to get the data first. And you could even use your phone and dial out every number. It's much more advantageous to have any type of dialer, at least on the front end of the lead generation. I would have said, in addition to that, text blast. Right now, as you know, text blast has a lot of legal implications and complications that are preventing us from getting the same results out of platforms that we were previously using. So I would say cold calling is where it's at. Even when you send out that text to talk more about text blast, a lot of people see it and they're like, who is this random person? Like, when they can put a voice to a name over the phone and, feel a little more comfortable with you, if you can have a pleasant conversation with them, it just opens up the door to so many possibilities.
I agree, man. Yeah, cold calling is a great way. And everything you said about SMS being legal complications, yeah, agree. All right, so you're going to do cold calling. If you were to pick only one list that you could cold call, which list would you pick?
Right now, I would pick a vacant list. And it sounds very generic. Everybody's wanting me to say, oh, go to the water shutoff list in the county. There's some really specific lists that you can pull, and those are all great too. With my experience, what I know about what's going on in the country right now and in the real estate market is that, the market is shrinking a little bit and we're in a recession. So people need all the cash they can get. So why not start a vacant house? It's, tenanted houses, those are great too. We love absentee lists, and we do an awesome job with coordinating tenant move outs or holdback fees if tenants have to stay through their lease, or like whatever it is. It's a lot of extra coordination. But I would say when it comes to a motivated seller, the seller's collecting rent on a property, they're probably not as motivated as somebody who's had that property sitting for 3-4 years with taxes building up, and who could use that $150,000 right now. So yeah.
You're the third person in the row who's picked that exact same list. Yeah, there's a vacant list definitely is a good list. All right.
Yeah, especially like it's timely for right now.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, absolutely. It's very, I think that has something to do with it, like just being in the time that we're in right now. All right. So if you were scaling your business, you're hiring your first team member, who would you hire?
First team member has to be a virtual assistant, because you want to get to a point where you don't have to speak to, even if you want to do acquisitions, because in my first stage, I was doing acquisitions, dispo, transactions, marketing, everything but the lead generation when I hired my first 2 VAs. And it takes such a weight off your shoulder of having to talk to the totally uninterested people. If you could just talk to warm leads instead of all your leads, it's going to make your time more valuable, more efficient. Yeah. So that's what I would say.
All right. This is a little bit tricky question. What's the one thing you would not do at all that you've done in your business and like, I shouldn't have done that? What's the one thing?
I wouldn't chase buyers' needs as much as I would go get great deals where I know that they'll sell. And I say that because I had great success with a couple of hedge funds that I was selling to, and they were like, well, we buy in this city and this city and this city. So I'm like, hey, I'm going to buy leads in all of these cities. I don't know anything about these cities. That's why I'm in a lot of the markets I'm in. It's because I chase hedge funds into those markets.
I see.
And yes, I found a couple other buyers in those markets. Other markets, I didn't find really any other buyers because they're almost obsolete markets. And that was a learning experience for me because it timed up perfectly with the shift in the market this year. So it was kind of like two things hit me at once. The shift happened, and in these very small markets that I got into, once these hedge funds exit them, the local buyers are not as active as local buyers in other markets are.
Right.
So that's one thing I would say. If you don't let a couple good deals with somebody change your plan of what you're going to attack and how you're going to execute, because their situation could change any given day.
That makes sense, man.
Just yeah.
All right. Next question. What's the one best way to build your buyers list?
I would say every platform that you can join out there, first of all, that's free, you should be doing. If you posting your deals, build your buyers list. This sounds like 2015, but if you want to post a deal on Craigslist, people will reach out to you and you'll get emails and you can add those people to your buyers list. Obviously, if you have a website, you can drive people there to be added, to automatically add them to your buyers list. Facebook groups, Connected Investor, Bigger Pockets, all these different spaces. If you have Investor Lift and post your deals there, that's a huge platform to generate buyers from. So that's what I would say. And just let people know what you do, like the people that you already know. Hey, I am wholesaling deals. I have them at discounted investment properties. That's word of mouth, and all those different channels should give you a decent pool to at least sell one deal. If you're talking about selling one deal,
yeah, absolutely.
All you need is one buyer for one deal. You have to talk to 100 people to get that one buyer. It's not, that's not that many people.
All right. So if a new investor came and asked you, should I go on in-person appointments with the seller or just make offers over the phone, what would you tell them?
I would tell them to make offers over the phone, because I think a lot of time can be wasted in in-person appointments. And I love in-person appointments, and I'm about to get back to that a little myself, especially with us being in all these different markets. I've had boots on the ground going to properties on our behalf. But here in Atlanta, I'm starting to, especially with bigger properties, just try to go walk them myself, because I like that in-person feel. But I would say make offers over the phone. It can seem like you have a lot of activity when you put 2 appointments on your calendar for 1 week and you're like, oh, I got 2 appointments this week. And you go to both of them. You have to talk about price before you get there. You have to set expectations before you even get there. So you may go 0 for 2 in that week, whereas you might be able to make 50 offers on the phone throughout that week and get 3 verbal commit. You might still get 2 or 3 people that say, hey, come check it out. And if you still think you can pay that price, then I'll do it.
That makes sense.
I think in-person appointments are great, and you should go on each appointment, on every single appointment that you can, where a seller is reasonably pricing the property. But I also think that the phone is the place where you can, maximize your efficiency and explore the most opportunities.
That makes sense, man. All right. What's been the worst deal of your life and the lessons you learned from it?
So I got a duplex in Toledo. I should have just kept it myself. Got it for, I want to say $4,500.
$4,500? A duplex?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. It probably needed only like 25K of work.
All right. This
So
you're talking about the worst deal?
Yeah, this is the worst deal I had, because I'm about the experience. And this is the worst deal because nobody wanted to buy it, right? So I had a family friend who bought it for $5,000. It was one of my, I think, the smallest assignment I've ever done, right? For $500. Because I was like, I guess I'll do this for you. Nobody else wants to buy it, whatever. The seller, I've talked to her so much, feel bad for her. Like, let's just get this deal done for her. I closed the deal after many complications, and everybody knows that the small deals that give you huge headaches, those are already our worst deals. And then after the closing, the buyer was like, hey, I had to pay extra and closing costs. I didn't know I was gonna have to pay those. Could you send me back like $400 of the money that you made, right?
Wow.
So I was like, yeah, I'll send it to you. So I sent it to him, and I was like, I'm not ever gonna sell anything to him again. But that was the worst deal, not only because I didn't make anything, but also because it was just, things can get so, like, people could, not nasty as much, I've seen people get really nasty for money, but I've also seen people like just get really petty and like really pinch every penny as if they can't pay, what they should be able to. And that doesn't apply to buyers backing out of deals when they thought they could do it and they can't. Like, I completely understand a lot of this because it happens to me. But that was just like I know as I told that story to you, you're probably like, what? It's crazy. But
yeah, I mean, $4,500. That's crazy.
Yeah,
man.
right.
And even out of that $500, you have to give him $400 back.
Yeah, I didn't have to. I could have been like, no.
Yeah, I mean,
but I was like, I was like, okay, like I'll send it to you just because it didn't matter to me. It's
What
fun,
was the
man. Real
biggest
estate
lesson you learned from it? Like
from that.
not doing any business with family or family friends?
No, no, that's not even because I'll do business. Like I've sold deals to other cousins of mine and all types of stuff. Like I think the biggest lesson from that is if the deal is already looking too small from the beginning, maybe just look the other way. And
Makes
I've been
sense.
doing that a lot lately. Like we had 10 deals under contract that I dropped in one day because I was like, well, we could get this person to walk the property, but they're only going to probably pay this much max. And I'm pushing them to pay this price that's going to net us $2,000. And I'm
Got it.
like,
Yeah.
there's no reason to even be doing that when you could be focusing that same time in acquiring deals that are actually solid that you can get in and out
Right.
and, keep it moving. So that's another thing with some of those smaller markets. That sometimes what you come across, I wouldn't see a $500 assignment fee in Atlanta or in you know Orlando
And,
or whatever. So
what you said is right. It's crazy that the smaller deals, in terms of like the amount of money you're gonna make, actually ends up taking a lot
hmm
more work than the ones you're gonna
yeah,
make like 5 figures or even 6 figures. Those tend to be,
right,
I've noticed tend to be a little bit smoother deals versus the ones that
yeah,
you're buying for like 10,000, trying to do wholesale for like 11, 12. Those buyers
right,
tend to be way more
100%.
picky. Yeah. All
Yeah,
right. What's been the best deal of your life and what lessons did you learn from it?
I'm gonna do two sides of that coin, and I don't want to talk your head off, but the
No,
best
it's
deal
good,
of
man.
my
You're
life.
sharing some great information. Yeah.
The best deal of my life was this house here in Atlanta that I sold to a guy I never sold to. The seller, me and him developed an amazing relationship. A really old guy, terminally ill. He was in a mortgage he had like an 11% mortgage rate, and he was paying like 3,500 a month to his lender because the house was in a really nice neighborhood. Like the ARV for the buyer ended up demoing the house, and he's gonna build I think a modern duplex there. The ARV is like 2 million, so it was a really nice house.
Mm.
This guy, I felt so bad for him, and he started to annoy me at a certain part of the deal because there was so much teeth pulling of it. But I'd worked out to where the seller could stay 5 months after closing with money out of my assignment fee built in for the buyer to credit for that time. I paid for his move out, paid for him a storage unit, and the deal took forever. So I don't think it was our biggest deal. We made 43,000 on it. We had another deal for 47, but this one is my best deal so far because I really felt like I helped this man so much when nobody else would. He'd push away like a lot of other people in his life. He had like literally nobody, no relatives or anything. So I would drive over to his house every couple of days, like make sure he had what he needed and just stuff like that. So I probably won't be doing a lot of that. That one felt really good. Then I'll also say, as far as my best deal ever, this year I've had so many deals that were huge that fell through and didn't happen for various
On
reasons.
the seller side or the buyer side?
On the mostly on the buyer side, sometimes on the seller side. I just want to outline these deals a little bit just to give some insight as to how this stuff works. Like you might have streaks of great months, then if three or four huge deals fall through that you were counting on, it's like it could look totally different than a previous successful era for you. So it's like to any new real estate investor, you really have to persevere. You really have to stay consistent and maximize your opportunities at all times, just in case there's ever, some misfortune that happens. But this year, we had in January a 285K deal fall through. The buyer couldn't fund it. We had a 75K deal fall through here in August. We had an $80,000 deal that was supposed to close on Halloween. That was the first time I ever seen this, but the buyer was trying to commit wire fraud, send the closing attorney more earnest money than they were supposed to, and ask for the difference back, right? And
Wow.
I had never seen that, so that was an interesting one to see. So you never know what you're gonna see out here. And those are just the largest ones. We've had a lot of 30K deals fall through this year, 25, 28, 5, 28. Like I like I almost know the amounts for all of them. So we've lost out on a little over 600,000 of deals that were headed towards the table since January. And not all of it is due to the market shift, but that had a lot to do with it. Mind you, on top of that, I had probably 40 plus deals since January that didn't get assigned at all. So not in that same pool that we had to drop completely because either acquisitions managers locked them up too high, or just sellers stopped responding, or any other type of reason why a deal might not work. So to a new investor, just know that in order to be successful, you have to win more than you fail, really, and just know that some deals are not going to work out. And before I landed my first deal, I had a deal that was going to hit for like 30 plus thousand, and at that time, that was amazing. So, and that deal fell through. So my first potential deal fell through, and it's like that's that moment where you could say, "Oh man, I got to go back and get a job," or that's the moment where you could say, "Okay, almost hit on that." Now if I do this 1, 2, 3 more times, it's gonna fall through. So
yeah, it's a numbers
that's really
game,
the
man.
name of the game.
Yeah, you have to. It's a numbers game, and at the end of the day, like you just have to stick through it day in, day out. There's going to be some really
Right.
good days, and there's going to be some really bad days. You just got to make
For
sure your
sure.
good days outnumber the bad days. Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
All right, man. Moving on to some non-business questions. What do you do for
Yeah,
fun?
I love to travel. I'm a sports guy, hanging out with the family, visiting friends, wherever, different cities where they live. And that's a majority of what I do for fun. I like to learn about different things. I love real estate. I live and breathe it, obviously. Looking into crypto and Web3
Nice.
stuff, NFTs, other traditional investments like the stock
Great, man.
market, and foreign exchange trading, and just trying to really understand what's what's going on out here. And after understanding the real estate market, I'm looking at other markets, and I'm like, okay, if there's a market, I want to understand it. That's the kind of a side hobby of mine outside of just doing regular
Great,
fun
man.
stuff.
All right. What's the one book that has made the biggest influence in your life? Could be personal or business book.
I think Think and Grow Rich is a huge one, just because the principles outlined in it, they seem so simple. I think growing up, some people like myself might think that in order to be rich, or in order to be successful, in order to feel good about whatever you're doing at the highest level, it's either for you or it isn't. Or, some people aren't cut out for certain things. And not to say that I thought that I was like that. I just felt that success was a barrier that so many people can't figure out how to break through. It seems almost impossible to force the issue and create that from scratch. So that book really showed me in high school that if you just try to do these couple things, you'll probably be better off than, if you weren't, and if you didn't know that the law of attraction was, as powerful as it is. So, all type of stuff like that. So
Yeah, 100% agree. All right. If you could spend a day with anyone, dead or alive, who would you want to spend the day with and why?
I would spend my day with Elon Musk. And that's a funny answer. But because he is alive, and because we have a couple mutual relationship overlaps, right? That, first of all, I think I can sit down with him, and I will be in the next couple of years at some point. But I want to sit down with him because I feel his whole movement, I really like it, because he's trying to solve problems in the world. And that's like a big goal of mine, is to be successful enough to, change the third world, or the list could go on and on. But my point is, I'm going to be looking for some investors for a lot of different projects here soon, basically real estate related, non-real estate related, and all type of stuff. So I think that would be my best use of one day spent with somebody, is to just try to get in good with somebody like that, if not him.
It's awesome, man. All right. How can someone who's listening to this podcast get in touch with you? You can give you information. We'll put it in the show notes. But if somebody want to get in touch with you.
Yeah, sure. On social media, I'm Atmore the Sixth. Because I'm actually the sixth, my dad's the fifth, and so on. So that's ATMOREVI. You can email me at atmore@kingtrust.com, or just go to the King Trust website, and all of our other phone numbers and and info is there. I'm always open to talk, share my experiences, my expertise. I don't hold back any information. Feel free to
Cool.
reach out to me.
Awesome. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate you coming on the show and sharing all your knowledge. And then you've done amazingly well in last 3 years since you started. So thank you so much, man.
I appreciate it, Sherrod. I'm excited for
Thanks.
the future and talk to you soon, man.